Hey everybody, welcome to Industry Backstage Pass, where we take a peek behind the curtain of industry and see what's actually happening. With me, of course, again is Genevieve and Edwin Almeida. How you going, guys?
Hey Edwin.
How you going? As long as they don't take a peek behind my shower curtain, I'm all right.
No, I think that would be a whole different video.
Yeah. Mind you, you're looking buff, I'm sure.
Oh well, yeah, it's all the healthy stuff that you guys got me on now. So all that, and I got to make sure I drink lots of water, and that's been very, very helpful. And quite frankly, I feel a lot. My metabolism's actually working a lot better. As I said, I'm sleeping a lot better, which is absolutely brilliant for me. I really enjoy that. I really enjoy some of the dreams, not all the dreams.
There's a few nightmares happening there. Actually,
some of those dreams are scary.
Yeah. Life is stranger than fiction.
Yeah.
Actually, just when you mentioned there about drinking water and that sort of thing, and that is something that we do forget to do in winter because you're just not as thirsty. But, you know, it's good for your whole body, for all your organs, for your skin, for everything. And so
it makes your digestion work.
It makes your digestion work. And especially if you are eating fibre, which you should be doing, you need that moisture because it sucks moisture out of your gastrointestinal tract and can cause all sorts of issues. So if you have upped your fibre, you've got to up your water intake. And that can come from tea, coffee. Sorry,
tequila.
not no.
Proportionally speaking, I don't think the after effects of the tequila would work for the hydration factor.
But anyway, yeah, so the water. So it's pretty full on. Like we've just had this morning, heard Shane Elliott from ANZ, the head honcho over at ANZ. Lee, do you want to flick that up there?
Yeah, I'll pull it up now.
So, yes, we had Shane Elliott talking some cold hard facts on mortgages. And basically, so we had our 6-month hiatus on mortgages from March, yes. I think it was. And so that has now, and to avoid an absolute cliff they talk about September, but really that is going to be probably early November because JobKeeper is paid in arrears of about, at least 4 weeks, if not 6 weeks. So even if the last JobKeeper, so the September JobKeeper, anyway, yeah, we can flip that up. So the last JobKeeper will be received into bank accounts in
mid-October, isn't it?
Mid-October. Then that money runs out. And that's when the caca hits a fan, as you like to say.
Well, they're going to continue. They're going to stretch that out for sure, as we know. They'll stretch it out. They won't stop it. Everything else, they're throwing, they're stretching, but it's just like an elastic band, isn't it? Lee, you're the scientist. How many times can you stretch an elastic band before it snaps?
I know, has it been hit with UV?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's all the conditional factors involved there, mate. We'd have to have a longer conversation for that one.
And then you get overstretched and you lose your elasticity over time and that sort of thing. And I think, you know, we're well into this property bubble. It tried to correct post the peak, let's say October 2017. We had a little bit of a correction and away she went again after the election, and that's not sort of, and I must say, going back to the Ireland comparison, where the government actually went, hang on, I think we've got a property bubble, and they actually put in some brakes. Now, our brake was the Banking Royal Commission, and then the banks pulling back on their credit lending, or, credit criteria and that sort of thing. And then after that, they've just sort of said, nah, let her rip. You can have interest-only loans, all that sort of stuff. And so it's really, it can gain even more momentum. But, where are we at now? We've got, So the ANZ chairman, is it? No, he's the head of the CEO of the ANZ, saying we can't save everybody. Okay, so that's kind of bad loans will be a reality amid coronavirus fallout. So they're saying small business loans and some households will not be able to sustain their mortgages. And Edwin, you've been taking a bit of an interest in some, well, as you are, because you're a buying agent, but also seeing a few more mortgagee in possession sales, and that's distressed sales. That's the sort of correct legal term for it.
Well, there are a number of things that have caught my eye and caught our attention by my associates and myself, and that is the number of mortgagee sales that are coming on, and a number of them are tied up with albeit their homes, they're tied up with business ventures as well, and that's what I said all along. The government and the banks will more than likely protect the principal place of residence as they'll protect that a lot more, or they'll buffer that a lot more than what they will investor loans or homes, properties that have got heavy investment into businesses or drawdown facilities that have been used to prop up businesses, and credit cards and vehicles. One for Johnny, one for Mary, one for the wife, one for the husband, and the sports car for the weekend, sort of stuff. They're not going to save those, and I think that's the undercurrent that is going to run through these mortgagee sales. So we're keeping an eye on mortgagee sales across Sydney. Kellyville in particular, I believe that's going to be one of the epicenters of mortgagee in possession, because a lot of blue collar workers or tradespeople that went and bought out there in these homes on small blocks of land around the Kellyville Ridge, Kellyville, North Kellyville, Box Hill, Schofields, all these areas. And not only did they buy at high prices, house and land packages in the last 3-4 years, but they also then obviously upgraded the vans, cars, trucks, bikes, scooters, skateboards, and everything else that comes along with it. So there's
boats. I see a lot of boats.
Heavily mortgaged up there, and one of the first mortgage in possession sales I'll be going to on Saturday to see what the outcome is.
Okay, well, let's pull that up now and just have a quick look at it. Just give me 1 second to pull it up. And oh, sorry about that. Okay, so the mortgagee sale that you're referring to is this one here in Kellyville.
Yeah, that's correct. That property got bought, I think, in 2015, 2016 for $950,000. The current sales in the area are around anywhere between $1 million to $1.1 million. It's going to be interesting to see what it fetches under a mortgagee sale. The agents have told me that it has to sell on the day. So I asked for a guide. They were a bit reluctant to give me a guide, but just talking off the record, they're guiding it around the $950,000, which is what somebody paid for. Some poor bastard paid for it 3-4 years ago.
So 2016, 4 years, zero capital gain, just a whole lot of cost, and something about maybe perhaps some repairs and stuff. So it was built in 2000, I think you might have told us earlier. So it's 20-year-old, but maybe they don't build them like they used to.
Well, look, every property. Look, a lot of properties have issues. This one, in my inspection of it, on behalf of a client, I found that you need a good. It looks neat and tidy, but you still need another 50,000-60,000 to get up to scratch. I'm a little bit sus of of the shower recess areas. The tiles were a little bit drummy, so and there was a little bit of dampness in the adjoining wall. So I dare say that bathroom will need to be, or that shower recess area will need to be treated and waterproofed properly. The question is can you get the same tiles now that were used when the house was originally built? And more than likely you won't be able to get the same tiles, and therefore you'd have to redo the whole bathroom anyway. So it's no longer a $2,500 exercise. It ends up being a $20,000 exercise.
Yeah, okay. Ouch. I see what you're saying then. Okay, so Kellyville, you'll be out there and keeping a very, very keen eye on that one. So these have come from Trovit, just searching Mortgagee in possession sales in New South Wales. You get the odd random sort of one from Perth, but anyway, from Western Australia. So we're now moving on from Kellyville, which is in northwest Sydney, to William Street, Strathfield South. And I think we did look at this one before, and it was a double block.
I think that sold on the weekend. Did it sell on the weekend? I think it did sell on the weekend.
Yeah, I think if we go through just the next one along, just sold. Very, very hot off the presses. And how much was that? 1.8.
Yeah, 1.8 million. So I don't know what. Yeah, don't know what the. I hadn't seen that before. So I've only just started looking at the Mortgagee sales just out of interest, and because also I was looking in the area for a client. But it is rather interesting, and then I just started poking around in the other websites than the one that you're showing me now, but they are similar listings have come up. But it's just going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward from it, because of all the mortgage stress that Martin North has been reporting.
So you've got two properties on one title there. What do you envisage happening with this? Rent them both out, knock them down, build a couple of duplexes? Who knows?
Yeah, look, as I said, I haven't done any background research on there as to the land size of what you can put in there. It all comes back to the regulations, all sorts of different criteria what you can do there. Did you say that was in South Strathfield or North Strathfield?
Yeah, yep.
Strathfield South, was it?
Yes, that's right.
So two homes got sold for 1.8 million. Look, I don't know, because some of the zones they've changed, and depending on whether it falls into the area where it could be, you could amalgamate it with the other lots. But look, houses and land at the moment are getting to the point where that ain't. In a lot of the cases, that it no longer works as a development site unless you've got you can build high rise, and you can multiply the number of dwellings that you can put on there by having a large number of dwellings put on there. But if it's just going to be a duplex or a couple of, or a triplex or something like that, it's the numbers just don't add up anymore, because by the time you buy the land, by the time you build, by the time you do everything, and homeowners warranty insurances and everything else that comes into play, because it's lower than four levels and so forth. All the regulations that come into play, your builders are just not interested unless you're an early starter, but you're not really going to get your money back. Anyway, in most cases, unless you bought it for dirt cheap. So if all you could do there is build a couple of duplexes, it really just doesn't start to make sense, other than just to keep the existing dwelling in the land, and maybe land bank but you'd be land banking for goodness knows how long.
Yeah. Till the next boom. Goodness, we've already seen that next
one. 10, 15 years maybe.
Okay, or even 20. What's this one? We have so this is in Chatswood, one of these big towers you might see when you drive down the Pacific Highway there. What's it called? It's called the
that's
Metro
a post office.
The post office lane one, yep.
Yep. That's more than likely. That's tonight's the first time I've seen that, but that's more than likely a penthouse. And they're asking 2,800,000 as mortgagee sale, but it was bought. I believe that one was bought for about 2,350,000 or thereabouts.
Yeah, 2,310.
2,310, and that would have been in about just a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago.
2019.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah.
Yeah, 2019. Not even a year ago. Well, that's. I think the Chatswood area is going to have a lot of. There's going to be a lot of stressed property, and a lot of it's going to be apartments. And there are pockets all over Sydney where I can envisage that there will be a lot of mortgagee sales, because let's face it, they're not getting the rents that they were getting pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And the look, you had a 2-bedroom apartment that many people converted into a 3, and in some cases into a 4-bedroom, or they put in 4 people, 5 people into adults, that is, into a 2-bedroom apartment, and charged them individually, and that's how they were maintaining the mortgages. But now you can't do that anymore. That's gone off the rails. It's not going to be any time soon before we get any foreign students into the country, and people that are going to take these housing offers, and so there's a lot of vacancy. The rents, they're not getting any rent, so it's only going to be a matter of time before we see a truckloads and truckloads of and plane loads of apartments. Hopefully we don't get plane loads of Victorians coming up, but we get plane loads of apartments coming on the market. I've got no doubt whatsoever.
Yeah.
So what is it? So an increase of $500,000 in probably under a year. So you reckon Telling is dreaming?
Exactly. You could buy a house on 900 square meters on the other side of the highway. That the owners wanted 2.2 million to 2.3 million. Nobody bid at auction, and the best offer the agent's got at the moment is 1.9. I said to them, my client would give them less than what her owner paid for it a year ago as well. They paid $1,880,000 and spent $150,000 finishing the renovations. You could buy that for 1.9 even, let's say. Why would you buy a 3-bedroom apartment, albeit because you're in the middle of Chatswood? People's appetite for apartments and high-rise living is changing, and if particularly when here in Sydney, where Sydney sprawls out all the way to Penrith and so forth, and you've got some other hubs, and you don't have to go far from the Chatswood CBD to, as I said, you only have to go across the road and you can pick up any one of 3 properties that got passed in at auction for under 2 million on 650 to 900 square meter blocks of land. Why would you want a lousy 3-bedroom apartment?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of changed in February, March of 2020. I just wanted to flick over. So Martin did a live show the other day. I missed it, but he released some new data. It's a new data set, which is from investors. And we haven't sort of had this kind of insight before. And I'll just, of course, I know, sorry to anyone else who's outside of the 3 kind of predominant states of New South Wales, Victoria and Queensland. We do appreciate that you do exist, but we'll just concentrate there on some numbers for New South Wales, Victoria and Queensland. They seem to hold the majority of mortgages and the sizes of the mortgages. And so you have New South Wales there, obviously the king for properties for rent. It's got the biggest numbers, which makes sense. So we have properties for rent, number of rental property owners. So because you've got, and as Edwin, you were saying before, that you've got people in Sydney found the market too dear, so then invested in Melbourne. Units or the like and that sort of thing. And so the way to deal with this issue of interstate or in and out of suburb, the Martin has split the owner postcode to where the actual dwelling is. So it makes it a bit more sense, because the person who holds the mortgage, that sort of who has the most, they're going to feel the pain. So just in New South Wales there, he had we're looking at the far end. Do you have a mouse there?
It doesn't work.
Oh, it won't come up. Sorry. At the very far end of the last column is investors who are stressed, and very similar to the ACT, which I was surprised at, actually, because everyone, it's full of public servants with loads of sort of consistent high incomes, but they are still experiencing stress. Maybe they're overextended. But you have 35% in New South Wales who are stressed. But if you come back to severe stressed, which is the column just shy, is only in numbers. But if you do that as a percentage, it is actually 35% are in severe stress. No, sorry, 24% are in severe stress, sorry. So that 76,951 number translate to 24%, and is actually the king. So when we go down to Victoria, stress, we have 25%. Just there, where is it? Second from the bottom, just hidden by the picture. And those in severe stress, 11%. Same for Queensland. Very similar numbers. Stressed, 23%. Severe stress, 11%. So really, we can go back to look at New South Wales, because I thought maybe with COVID kicking off in Victoria and the whole loss of students and whatever, but the Sydney market was so hot, so overinflated, probably has the furthest to fall. So you've got stressed, 35% of mortgages, investor mortgages, are in stress, and 24% in severe stress. I think that's massive. That's scary.
Yeah, and I keep on saying we only need 3,000 new listings to come on the market for sale, and the Sydney market will be comatose. The buyers aren't there. The pool of buyers are diminishing by the week, not because they're buying, but because they can't buy, or because if they're working, if they're on there are more signs, regardless of whether you keep JobKeeper at play. Let's not forget that people are taking pay cuts in order to even stay in a job, although the business is getting JobKeeper. So I've got friends and colleagues that were, let's say, for example, they were on $100 an hour. Now they have to be prepared to take a pay cut to $50, $60 an hour, and although they're getting JobKeeper as well, so they've got to take a sizable haircut in order to not only keep the job. So when you work backwards from there, given the fact that you still got to pay, the bills aren't getting any cheaper. Food isn't getting any cheaper. The only thing is that may drop a little bit more is the rental, but so the cost of living is not decreasing, but wages are. So look, I think we've got a long way to go.
I mean, that is the thing with inflation. The way that they calculate it is it doesn't include those sort of things, with the way that they put them in baskets and that sort of thing and average them out, and they say, oh, well, we used to consider a steak as the benchmark, but now mince is considered the same thing. They've been mucking around with this. If anyone is interested in looking at some real numbers on inflation, please go to shadowstats.com. That's where you can actually see. So real life inflation for us little people in the real world is probably closer to 8%, and if not higher at 10. And then we're also, we had things like the drought and all that pressure on supply side of all of those sorts of things. And it's only going to get more as we as the world economy shrinks and everyone pulls back, and there's less that anti-globalist sort of movement. But that's sort of more the macro side.
Sorry, Jen, you've also got the the cost of I feel the cost of education is going to go up, and also the cost of health is going to health is in medical is going to go up because and we can maybe discuss this a little bit more with at the next segment, and that is how many overseas countries have. Although we're saying we want to separate ourselves and we want to manufacture our own tablets and pills and medicines and so forth, but we still got to get the base products from overseas. So if they lock down the overseas supply, if they close the tap on the overseas supply for the base ingredients, how do we make a Panadol? How do we package it?
Yeah, with the just basically from my world being in the food world, with equipment and things like that, I can give you a good example. A lot of small businesses that I know of who are, say, in the drinks industry, making kombucha and water and health drinks and things like that, they can go and get a pretty reliable machine that is well made from certain places, say in China, for around about $500,000, and you get your 24 head filler with your tank, your descrambler, all the bits you need to basically get going. If you wanted to buy that from Alfa Laval or from France or somewhere like that, you're looking at least 1.8 to 2.5 million. So that's going to put a real curb on a small business going, well, do I buy the equipment or not? And that can be the make or break. And I know of 2 or 3 businesses that have gone, put the $500,000 into the good equipment from China, and they're making a real success of it. If they had a $1.8 to $2.5 million debt hanging over them, they wouldn't have made it.
No, and then you've got the packaging, and also even in some restaurants when you ask for takeaway, they're going to start scrambling. Pretty soon we're going to get takeaway and say, oh look, I'll have that spaghetti bolognese takeaway, thanks. And then they say, oh look, we don't have any containers. You just put your hand out and say, look, just exactly. Just put all that.
Stand there and eat off a plate on the street and then hand it back after.
Hey, look, no, I had the solution when I was a backpacker. I had a coat with big pockets. You put a plastic bag inside it and just drop it down into there.
The images, Lee. The images, Mike.
My beard was about that long then too.
You wouldn't want to get, which hand was dessert, which hand was dinner.
Well, you get to your travel pass and pull out spaghetti.
Yeah. Crazy, but no, seriously, a lot of the takeaway, not a lot, but a number of takeaway shops that we've been frequenting as we're driving around, and they tell us that they're running out of takeaway containers. They are concerned that they won't be able to get takeaway containers in a few months' time.
Yeah, and the reality is, if you want to buy Australian made, which is a great thing to do, I'm not discouraging it or encouraging it one way or the other, but the fact is that we have much higher labour costs, much higher materials costs, much higher rates and taxes. The cost of doing business in Australia is a lot more than other parts of the world where we have been purchasing raw materials from. So to use your example of the takeaway containers, we've got people in Australia that make that, they injection mould the containers. We've got places that can actually deal with film packaging, laminate packaging. Like where I worked at Dairy Farmers years ago at Lidcombe, there was a bottle blowing plant there. But what we did need was the resin pellets, and that's the killer because all the resin pellets come out of Southeast Asia and China, some out of Thailand, a lot out of China. So if we have problems with supply from COVID's point of view and from, say, the geopolitical point of view, that's going to be a real problem because we're going to have to start hunting around. And, maybe we can get it from Mexico, but then, of course, you've got the transport cost coming across from there as well. So the supply lines are really going to be critical going forward when we decide we want to create Australia as a manufacturing economy, which, we are so far from.
And there's your inflation because it's going to cost more, right? So everyday things, it's going to cost more. So we have to... There's just going to be sort of less money around for discretionary items because more is going to have to go into necessary items.
I'm going to get a few chickens like you guys.
Mind you, we have 5 chickens. We have to feed all 5 chickens, clean up after them, and we only get 2 eggs a day, and we're lucky to get that. Anyway, but they're pets now, so you can't.
Yeah, don't name your chickens. You can't cook them then.
Can't disappear.
No, the last time I saw so the whole process of seeing a live chook then to seeing on my plate was when I was a teenager, when I went back to South America to visit my family there, my grandmother, and she went out the backyard and grabbed a chook by the throat, and then within a matter of an hour or two, it was on the plate.
Very fresh.
Yeah. My mum used to tell me the same stories about my grandfather doing that at their house at Lidcombe. So, yeah, it happens all over the world.
Can I just ask, I don't know why it popped into my head, but it's common in South America perhaps to eat guinea pigs?
Yeah, we used to eat them all the time. I mean, it's I don't think it's a staple food source, really. It's guinea pigs, and it's part of the landscape. They're grown, and it's sort of from just going back to, I grew up with my grandmother most of the time that I did spend in South America as an infant, and she had a home oven, and they basically roamed around in there around the oven, and I had a
somehow make it the odd one went in.
And then your pets disappear, and then they end up on your plate. But after you take a couple of bites, you forget it.
Don't taste too damn good.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things.
Anyway, yes, back to. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think I'd eat one. I don't think I'd eat one now. Wouldn't if it came to it now, especially when you see them skewered on the barbecue. It's just the look of it.
We have to show, but we actually have some aquaponics, have an aquaponics setup, which is Lee's pet project, but we actually do have 8 fat barramundi that we actually purchased with the setup, but someone wanted to get rid of it. But that'll be interesting. That'll be the first homegrown kill situation. I think we could do it.
I've done one chicken.
Oh yeah, we didn't eat it though.
No.
Okay. Well, when they're big enough, you just got to call me. I'll go, get a couple of fishing reels, and I'll just go fishing.
You and my father will be around here, mate. He's been wanting to do it for a while.
Anyway, we've got terribly sidetracked now. Actually, before we'll head off, but yeah, geez, I mean, and also I'll have to go and find the footage too, but this whole thing of the property market and the financial sort of thing basically sort of imploding under its own weight. These things, it happens slowly. It happens over a very long period of time, especially property bubbles. They can take 6 years from peak to trough. So, we have to pace ourselves here. It's and let's talk about, and nothing goes down in a straight line. So we are going to have ups and downs. We talk about the like a bull trap or something like that. But so even if we think about the 2017, we're not going to see maybe what's plus 6 years is 2023 or something like that. Now, people have been talking about how COVID has sped things up. So that'll be interesting to see. But I think we will, as a regular occurrence, we will just keep an eye on these mortgagee and possession sales, because that's a real indicator of, are they investor type homes, units? Are they family homes where people maybe linked to business opportunities gone under? But yeah, so I really appreciate your insider knowledge, those, and we'll keep a close eye on that. And as far as the listing numbers, what's the satanic hedonic sort of
the satanic hedonic? This one's the sister of the satanic hedonic. It's their main. Look, they're growing. They're steady. I think we're getting closer to the 18,000 now. By the end, we should be. I wouldn't be surprised if we break the 18,000 mark by tomorrow, 5 o'clock, for the Sydney region in under the domain listings. But again, as I keep on saying, it's traditionally we should have dropped back from 17,500. We should have dropped back to about 15,000. So traditionally, winter is when people basically hibernate to then bring the listings back out in spring. Whereas, so there's no hibernation at all, where the numbers are growing, and we're getting closer to 18,000. So sarcastically, I tweet out, the confidence of the vendors and the real estate agents. But when you go out on the field, you see how depressed they are. They get enthusiastic by seeing the crowds coming into the open for inspections, and they get enthusiastic seeing the crowds that are attending the auctions, but nobody's bidding, nobody's making offers, nobody's raising their paddle. That's the interesting thing, because a lot of them are just, I feel that the majority of people, the locals, keeping an eye out on the market to see what's happening. More than likely they're looking at listing their properties as well. They're just keeping a closer eye, their curiosity, and if there are buyers there, they're not moved at all by the agent's buyer's guides. And if you do get offers, you generally get them way below the agent's guides at the time, and if the auctioneer takes it on to run with the auction, well, then it's a really long stretch to get anywhere close to the reserve. So a lot of properties are being passed in. So the transaction numbers are really dropped, and they're dropping considerably. But the actual listings, live listings online, are going up. So it's going to be another trend to look at. As you know, I watch that, and I put that out on Twitter regularly to keep people abreast of what's going on out there.
Yeah, it's like, I guess, one of these sort of indicator numbers, and if people want to find you on Twitter, it is just at just think one. So yep. It's something that we will keep an eye on. Goodness knows what it'll be in September. But anyway, here we go. When actually spring has sprung.
All right, well, we'll take a break there, and we'll be back in just a second.
Okay.